People know the name Bernard Herrmann as perhaps the supreme Hollywood composer of his generation, and we all know his films. We know Vertigo, Psycho, North by Northwest, Citizen Kane, 51 films in all. But Herrmann was much more than a film composer, as he would be the first to point out. He was an important concert composer. He was the most important composer for a genre now forgotten, radio drama. And he was a notable conductor, both of symphonic concerts and again on the radio for CBS. On top of that, Benny Herrmann was an unforgettable personality, irascible, idiosyncratic, cranky. Here's a typical saying from Benny Herrmann: musically, I count myself an individualist. I believe that only music which springs out of genuine personal emotion is alive and important. I hate all cults, fads, and circles. And we can hear the voice of Benny Herrmann on audio. Here he is, confronting an unhappy interlocutor who has suggested that Herrmann has borrowed from himself.
Well, I can give you an example. I think what Mr. Herrmann is talking about, he wrote an opera, remember Wuthering Heights, and part of the music of Act 1, Scene 1, he used in a score called The Ghost of Mrs. Muir.
No, I didn't. That's complete false. That's not it.
It sounds just like it.
That's because it happens to be me. I was the composer of both. I sound like myself. I didn't come from that picture. I resent that.
I'm sorry, but
It doesn't. The composer, if it shows up in my film music or in my opera or my symphony or string quartet, that's my music. I mean, Al Copeland sounds like Copeland no matter what he's writing. Any composer sounds like himself no matter what he's doing. So what does it come from anybody else? I mean, Prokofiev, War and Peace has got a lot of his film music too, it sounds like, but that's nothing to do with War and Peace being a great opera. Both things were written by Prokofiev.
So Herrmann sounds like Herrmann. Here's an example. What may be his most memorable concert work, the Clarinet Quintet. The radio drama Whitman, of course, invokes Whitman's ideals of democracy to rally patriotic support. And I would say anybody who experiences this piece is likely to say that the high point occurs where Whitman speaks about the grass and the graves of young soldiers.
This grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers, dark to come from under the faint red roofs of mouths. I wish I could translate the hints about the dead young men and women, and the hints about old men and mothers, and the offspring taken soon out of their laps. What do you think has become of the young and old men? And what do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprout shows there is really no death. And if ever there was, it led forward life. All goes onward and outward. Nothing collapses. And to die is different from what anyone supposed, and luckier.
I think underlying everything that we say and perform about the Whitman piece, Bernard Herrmann's music, Whitman's words, Norman Corwin's arrangement of it, underlying all of that is the fact that this was performed and broadcast to tens of millions of people, I think, certainly millions of people. And something that should resonate with all of us today is the confluence of fine art and popular art and a mass medium, the mass medium, that is something we've lost in this era when we're being sliced into ever narrower shards of demographics. The brilliance of what Corwin and Herrmann did with Whitman was to embrace all of us in the best Whitman spirit, to make us all one nation, one community. And I wish we had something like that today.
What I find myself thinking at this moment, thinking about Herrmann and listening to his music and listening to others talk about him, is how obvious his gift is and how amazing it seems that it remains largely unrecognized. Of course, the explanation is pretty obvious. It has a name. The name is modernism. We went through a period in which we favored an aesthetic that cherished originality for its own sake, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it was certainly productive, but it also was an aesthetic that excluded a lot of people in music, like, say, Rachmaninoff or Sibelius or Herrmann. And the irony that strikes me always in observing this phenomenon is that these are all original composers. They didn't seem original because they failed the test of originality that was imposed by the modernists, which had to do with being non-tonal or rhythmically experimental or something like that. But Sibelius's Fourth Symphony is certainly an original work. Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a Theme by Paganini is certainly an original work. And who could possibly deny that Bernard Herrmann, in all of his facets, was an original composer?